his harem with girls being as young as 9 and 10 years old? No, don't read about that. The Bible gives us the people in all of their warts, their freckles, and their blemishes. Here we're going to have Abram, and I call it a half lie. I really don't know what to call it, because it's not truly a lie, but it's full of deception. So I'm going to use the term half lie. You can use whatever term you want to. Let's look at verse 10. Now there was a famine. What caused the famine? Answer, we do not know. What causes famines? Well, insects, disease, shortage of rain. I think it was shortage of rain, because there's not a famine happening in Egypt. Now, the Promised Land had the Jordan River. But is the Jordan River a big, wide river? No. I mean, of course, the Hayes family's gone today. Unfortunately, Brandy had a death in her family, her uncle. But Emma, she's a phenomenal softball player, and Brandy was also a phenomenal softball player. Emma could probably stand with her back to the Jordan River and throw a softball over the Jordan River, okay? It'd be probably pretty easy for her, because the Jordan River's not that big. It's small, except during flood stage, it's small, not very big. But that's really the only source of water other than rain for the Promised Land. Egypt had a big advantage. It's called the Nile River. Is the Nile River large? Yes. I've crossed over the Nile River in a car. I saw it. Hey, it's big, okay? It's big. It's as big as any of our rivers that we have, real rivers. I'm talking about Mississippi River, things like that. So they have a source of irrigation water. I think probably this famine was, I would say, probably connected to maybe a shortage of water, of rain. But here's the problem. Should Abram have left the Promised Land because of the famine? Answer, N-O-N-O-N-O. No. Why? Because God's already promised to take care of him. This is a test. And unfortunately, the stomach overrules the head, and he fails the test. But he's got a problem. Going down to Egypt, he's got a beautiful wife. She's middle-aged in terms of her length of life. She's about halfway through her life. But she's a beautiful woman. The Egyptians are known, we actually also know this through history, that they like to take the women. They like to form those harems. They like to grab them and put them in their harem. And Abraham is afraid, I'm going to lose my wife and they're going to kill me because they don't want me, trying to rescue her. So you just tell them that you're not my wife, that you're my sister. Let's continue. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to dwell there. Should he have been there? No. Have you noticed that so far, wherever Abraham goes, he builds an altar? You won't see that in Egypt. Abraham, you didn't take God with you? No. Abram went down to Egypt to dwell there, for the famine was severe in the land. He should have trusted God. Have you ever been on one of those ropes courses where they have you stand, your buddies are behind you, and what do you got to do? You're supposed to fall backwards. Why do they do that? To teach you teamwork, to teach you faith and trust. Abram should have trusted God. He fails the test. And it came to pass when he was close to entering Egypt that he said to Sarai, his wife, Indeed, I know that you are a woman of beautiful countenance. He compliments her. He compliments her. Therefore, it will happen when the Egyptians see you, and they will say, this is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will let you live. Please say that you're my sister. It's a half lie. They had the same father, Terah. They had different mothers. This is a half sister. Just a moment, we're going to answer your question. And hopefully, we're going to have questions. I love questions. So text me your questions. This is a half lie. Yeah, she was his sister, but it was said for deception. Abraham is deceiving, so it's not right, because his purpose is to deceive. Please say that you're my sister, that it may be well with me for your sake, and that I may live because of you. What's he doing? He's a coward. Abraham, don't you trust God? How can God fulfill all his promises to you if you're dead? Abraham doesn't trust God. I appreciate the fact that the Bible paints the true colors of each character. While Abram was righteous, he was also human. The deception, he's trying to deceive the Egyptians. What caused him to cook up this deception? Fear. What did Abram hope to gain? To continue his life, to continue living. I'm looking for questions. So far, I don't have any. Abram put himself in a wrong spot. You know, when you paint yourself in a corner through your decisions, what's the only thing you can do? Wade paint. That's it. If you paint yourself in a corner based on your poor decisions, only thing you can do is to wade paint and say, okay, I messed up. You can tell I've waded paint here, but hey. Do we ever make bad decisions? Yes. But let's not be guilty. Let's not be guilty of compounding those bad decisions with more bad decisions. Once we make a bad decision, we seek His forgiveness if we're a Christian. 1 John chapter 1, verse 9. And then we try to do better. Got a question. What were altars made of? Excellent question. Excellent question. Altars were in the Promised Land. The one thing, they don't have trees, very little trees. Remember when David was arranging all the materials for Solomon to build the temple, he got cedar trees from Lebanon because there's not a lot of trees in the Promised Land. Olive trees, true, but you don't use olive trees for wood. What they do have is this stone that's easily cut up. If Andy was still here, he's already left to go get his daughter. I would ask him what kind of stone that is because I don't know the name of it, but it's a stone that is easily chiseled, and you make everything. They made their houses out of it, and you made an altar out of it. You would gather up these big stones, maybe chisel it a little bit to make it so it would fit together. As I said, building an altar is not a 20-minute job. Even with all his servants helping him, it would have taken Abraham some time to build an altar. But God deserves the best. God doesn't deserve using a leftover altar. He deserves using the best altar. If you do need a notebook, we've got, I think, 2 or 3 left here. They're in the front. Please pick it up, okay? If you want the Acts studies for this week and next week, they're up here. If you want one of the future lessons, they're up here also. You are dismissed. Thank you.